Hey guys, Dr. Ben here, Functional Medicine Centers. Welcome. So excited to have you on board today. Hope you're having a great day. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful time of year. Hope everywhere you are, you're enjoying it. Just want to get some of the information out there that I've been reading all week about masks, about COVID, about vaccines, what's going to happen, what might be coming down the pike, some different things. So welcome, Dr. Ben Galliard here. I run the Functional Medicine Centers of Fort Collins and Phoenix as well. We work with patients all over the country. Love to get this information out. For those of you that have been with us for a while, we talk about all types of fun stuff, but definitely immune system, get the body stronger, all types of different things. Go ahead and drop down below where you're watching from. We love to see where everybody's at. We get people all over the country, all over the world, and let us know if you like this. Share it with your page, share it with your people that you know. For those that are worried about vaccines, worried about COVID, worried about having to wear a mask all the time, whatever it is, get them the information. They need it. Let's get this out there. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So interesting interview I was looking at, and this was Paul Offit, O-F-F-I-T, and if you guys have heard that name before, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If not, that's okay. But Paul Offit, he developed the rotavirus vaccine, and he's on the FDA committee, giving feedback to the FDA about vaccines and all these things. And so they asked him, is a vaccine going to fix everything? And he said, no, we're probably going to need to wear masks and social distance for at least a couple more years. So I'm not sure if anybody else is really up for this and the whole new normal and all that, but I mean, that just sounds pretty darn extreme that we're going to continue to wear a mask, we're going to continue to social distance, not be able to hug or shake hands or any of these things at least for a couple years. What he says that people are expecting the vaccine to be this magic fairy dust, that we throw the vaccine out and now everybody's fixed and everybody's going to be protected. He said that's not how it happens. And this is the guy that developed the rotavirus vaccine. So he knows a thing or two about vaccines. Multiple issues going on. One, Bill Gates even last month was saying that you're going to need 2 injections at least to get up to that place of having full immunity. And so with 1 and then 30 days later, you're going to need to go in. So they're thinking the chances of enough people actually having 2 shots done within 30 days is very small. It's just not going to happen. The other thing is that, think about this, how many people are in this country, how many people in this world? So even just the United States, to get 350 million vaccines out to the masses is just like crazy to think about, let alone like 1.4 billion in India and all these things. But think about this, Dr. Offit also said that we've never had a vaccine like what's coming with the messenger RNA vaccine. And that's a big part that I'll be talking about in a few minutes here. But he said to get that mRNA, messenger RNA vaccine out to the masses, they're all going to have to be on dry ice. Think about that. So if you buy stocks or anything like that, look at some companies that produce dry ice, because if that's true and they're going to have 300 million plus a second dose, another 300 million on dry ice, think about how much dry ice that's going to take. But they said that's never been done before. They've never had to put the vaccines on dry ice and get them out to the masses. So, pretty crazy. Hey, Carol, good to see you out there. Pretty crazy. It's never been done before, and he's like, I don't even know if this is going to be possible to get, because if it's not on dry ice, if it's not that cold, it loses its validity to be able to actually cause that mild reaction in the body. So pretty interesting stuff. All right, so Dr. Offit said that we're going to need to wear masks and social distance for at least a couple years, which sounds pretty extreme. I don't really want that to be my new normal. Again, we've talked a lot about strong is better than safe. Let's get our immune system working as well as possible. The other thing that's happening is a good, viable, safe vaccine takes at least 3 years, and this is what Dr. Offit says as well. It takes at least 3 years to get to that point of knowing that this vaccine is safe. We're pushing it through in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever it's going to be. So is it actually going to be safe? And this is a concern. Now, even that President Trump is saying, hey, we need this vaccine. Now all the Democrats are saying, hey, you shouldn't get it because he's just going to force through something that's unsafe. So there's a lot of instability, a lot of uncertainty going on, even in the political world about the vaccine. So there's a very, very slim chance that there's going to be enough people that get the vaccine. And I've seen reports of upwards of 60% of the people are not planning on getting the COVID vaccine. And so, there's really a very small chance of getting enough people to have the vaccine to actually slow down a spread or to reach that herd immunity, any of those things. What's happening is that these vaccine companies are foregoing the animal trials. So the animal trials is this part, and it's usually a lengthy process where they try it out on whatever, rats, chimpanzees, whatever it is, and look for reactions. But they're skipping that part of it or doing very, very small amount, getting into the human trials. And so a lot of the companies already, Moderna, some of these different ones, have gotten into that phase 3 trial already. And the other thing that's happening is that the vaccine companies, every single vaccine manufacturer is now shielded from any liability for harm to anyone that gets a vaccine or is in the trial and gets a vaccine. So what does that do? Well, that also lets them just push, and if something happens, if somebody gets harmed, if somebody dies, there's no repercussions for the consumer. It's just, well, you know what, it just is how it goes. And this is even, I had a patient yesterday come in and her daughter was damaged from a vaccine injury a bunch of years ago, and no doctors would recognize it, anything. So, it's been going on for a long time, and yet now it's even more prevalent, more in our eyes. So it usually takes 3 years to get a good, safe, effective vaccine. We're going to be rushing it through in 9 months. They're foregoing a lot of the animal trial studies in there, and then the vaccine companies are going to be shielded from any liability from harm in there. So interesting. Let's get into Moderna. Moderna is one of the it's kind of Fauci and Gates' favorite little vaccine manufacturer here. And one report showed that the Moderna, in their first trial, they had 100% of the people suffered systemic side effects, and so that could be fatigue, chills, headache, muscle pain, and 21% suffered multiple of these. And that's everybody. Everybody in the study had that issue, which is pretty interesting. Moderna, for that matter, they are basically a startup company in the vaccine world, and this is the most prominent company that's probably going to get the first approval for vaccinations. Moderna, they have brought zero vaccines to market. So they've never actually mass produced a vaccine and used it on humans. So pretty interesting that a startup company basically is going to be the first one to get the vaccine out there. Also, the type of vaccine that's coming along is what's called a messenger RNA vaccine. So mRNA. So if you've seen that, some people are worried about how it's going to affect DNA, genetics, some of those things, but it's a messenger RNA vaccine. And you know how many that have been brought to market from any company successfully on humans? Zero as well. So what do we have going on? Well, we've got the number one company that is going to be producing vaccines that Dr. Fauci, Bill Gates, a lot of these guys really like, has brought zero vaccines to market, and the type of vaccine that they're working on, and another company, what was that one called? There's another, there's two, besides the Moderna, there's another company that's doing the messenger RNA vaccine, and no one has ever brought an mRNA vaccine to market. So kind of interesting that we're pushing all this through and we don't even truly know if it's going to be effective, how long it's going to last, if it's safe, any of these things. AstraZeneca, they are out of England. They paused their phase 3 trial. That's right before you get to phase 4 and you're ready to get it out to the masses, because there was unexpected and serious consequences or reactions from a specific AstraZeneca. there's another one, Ariel. I can't remember the name of the other company that is doing the messenger RNA. But the AstraZeneca, they had unintended consequences. New York Times, they said that it caused transverse myelitis, which is a major reaction from a viral overload, viral infection, something like that. And yet by the time September came around, the British government said, oh, you know what, we investigated, everything's fine, keep pushing through. So, did they change it? Did they make it safe or anything? No, they just looked at it for a while and pushed it through. So, kind of concerning for me that we're seeing reactions. We aren't testing it on very old, very young, all these things yet. And even Moderna, their study only had like 3% of the people that they were studying were of African American descent. And we know that it's a large percentage of the people that are getting COVID and dying from COVID, much higher than the percentages in the United States, are of African American descent, and they're not even testing on them. It could respond differently, etc. So then we talk about masks, and hey Robert, good to see you out there in Arizona. So then we talk about masks, and are we going to need to wear masks and social distance for the next couple years, 2 years, like Dr. Offit says? He's the one that came up with the rotavirus vaccine. And so they're saying, hey, you know what? You're going to need to do this for at least the next couple years. Social distance, a vaccine is not going to be this magic fairy dust that's going to all of a sudden make everybody safe there. So the CDC on September 8th, they posted on their website that aerosol transmission is thought to be the main way that COVID is transmitted. So aerosol is very, very fine, small particles. So as I'm talking here and I'm getting excited and there may be like little balls of spit coming out of my mouth, hey Jan, good to see you out there in South Dakota. So I might have these little balls of spit coming out of mouth. That's not aerosol. That's why surgeons wear masks in the surgery, so that those balls of spit, so that spittle, any of those things, a sneeze, doesn't get in there. So that's looking for bacteria and some of those things. But aerosolized virus is very, very small. Small enough to fit through cloth masks, small enough to fit through the regular masks, a lot of different things. So the CDC on September 8th said aerosolized transmission, it's thought to be the main source of transmission of viruses. And that they are easily going to travel more than 6 feet. I don't know who came up with the 6 foot number, but it always seemed a little odd. Like, what happens at 5 feet versus 7 feet? Was there an official double-blind study that says if you blow like that, it's only going to go 6 feet? But once you hit 7 feet, but I think really what it was 5 feet, just, you feel like you're in somebody's space. 7, 8 feet, then you're like, well, you can't even go into a store. Things are so far apart. So I think 6 feet was kind of a convenient number. It's not based on any scientific evidence, any type of fact out there. And so 6 feet is kind of, 6 feet, you can put your arms out and kind of be like, okay, my hand shouldn't touch your hand, so now we're safe. But the CDC on September 8th said that those molecules can actually also travel farther than that 6 feet, and that they're aerosolized, which is the main form of transmission of COVID, meaning that it's very small, fine particles. And even the coronavirus, this COVID-19, is twice as small, half the size of what the regular influenza virus is. And the CDC has already said that masks don't block that virus from getting in or not. Hey, Robert, good to see you out there. Yeah, I'll jump on some of these messages here in a couple minutes. I've got a couple things to get through here. So basically, this really showed me, but anyway, September 18th, CDC put that on there, and then September 19th, they retracted it and said, that was an error, we really shouldn't have said that. So, pretty interesting, but New York Times jumped on this as well, and they said, hey, you know what, we put this out there, we saw that they put this out there, now they pulled it back, but really, it makes sense for what's going on. So what we've got then is these aerosolized particles that containing the virus. How small are they? Well, they're very small. I saw on the CDC website as well, they said, do not use your cloth mask for smoke. So I'm in Colorado, we've got smoke particles all the time. If you've been in California, Oregon, Washington, any of those places, it's pretty intense, the amount of smoke from the forest fires that we have. They said that those cloth masks do not block those smoke particles. So get this, everybody pay attention. So I Googled smoke particle, 10 to the negative 6. So if you guys remember size, 10 to the negative 6 is going to be a micrometer. And that's what smoke particles are. So I Googled what's the size of a virus. And most viruses are in the nanometer, 10 to the negative 9 size. So if they say that those cloth masks that you're wearing or a bandana, whatever, is not going to block a smoke particle, then when we get, three digits smaller on the 10 to the negative 9, smaller with the virus, there's no way that that's blocking the virus either. So pretty interesting on there. So why are we wearing the mask? Well, they say it's going to stop that sneeze. But you know what? If you sneeze into your arm, you're going to stop that sneeze. It's going to stop as I'm talking like this from the spittle to go out. But then we say, okay, well, what about wearing a shield? There's been multiple studies done where they look at where that aerosol goes after somebody talks or sneezes or coughs or anything, and the shields, they're almost useless. They go down, around, everywhere around there. So if you're immunocompromised and you're wearing a shield, about the only thing that's going to block is if somebody sneezes, and that sneeze is not going to go into your eye. But the aerosol is going to still get underneath there. I always look at it kind of like back when we had non-smoking sections. Everybody remember that? Tell me if you've remember those restaurants with non-smoking sections. And it would go up and around, and you'd be sitting next to that, and you're like, man, it still smells like I'm smoking. So that smoke is going to go all around. And this is what viruses do. Viruses are not just I touched you, now you have it. I sneeze on you, now you have it. Viruses, they're coming out of my ductwork. They're coming down through there. They're getting shared all around the world, all around many, many different places. So we do not have just this 6 feet and under, only if you touch, only if you sneeze on me, that's the only way you're going to get this. So, it's pretty interesting. If you feel that you're immunocompromised and all those things, there's actually much better things that you can do besides wearing a mask to protect yourself. The other thing is, if you are healthy and you're trying to protect somebody else, the N95, everybody thinks about the N95, that's the one with the little breathe hole, and that's the real safe one. It blocks out, it's the safest mask out there. It blocks out a lot of things, but that the exhale hole is going to not filter at all, and that's going to have this aerosol material coming out all the time. And so if you're sick, you're still going to get other people infected as well, because it's going to come out of there with no filtration at all. So, for them to say, hey, we're going to spend the next 2 years in a mask, social distance, all those things, I just don't see it. I think, when we start looking at Sweden and some of these other countries, we've got to go more the route of, hey, build up your immune system, do everything that you need to that we know. You wash your hands and you cover your sneeze, and if you are sick, stay home, all those things. But a mask truly is not going to fix this problem. And if anything, it gives people that are ill or people that have problems with their lungs or immune system, it gives them a false sense of security in that, oh yeah, I can go out and do whatever because I'm wearing this mask. But we know if it's aerosolized, if the virus is aerosolized, it's not going to help in there. So it's pretty interesting, but I know for me, I'm not real big on wearing that for the next however many years. All right, I'm going to run through some of these questions, comments through here, and let me know if you guys have any other questions or comments from below. Sonny, good to see you in Nebraska there. And let's see, I know there was a couple more here. Hold on a second. And so Pfizer, no, Del Rey, it wasn't Pfizer. Robert, good to see you in Arizona there. And Jan in South Dakota. Yeah, so Robert says social distancing won't work. People are already getting fed up with their mandates, especially because the experts can't get their facts straight. So interesting, here in Colorado, in Larimer County, we've got like 5 people in the entire 400,000 person county in the hospital right now with COVID. What we do know is that COVID went through Colorado in March and April. It had its spike, it went through. Yes, there were people in the hospitals, we had all those things, but we haven't had it here. No one masked from March, April, May, maybe middle of May, end of May, people started wearing masks, but it was too late. If somebody wanted to mask in Colorado, you needed to do it back in February before things got going and you needed to hide out and do all those things. But to mask and quarantine now, when the virus is not here, especially when we were told originally that we were doing it to flatten the curve. The curve has been flattened. Even in Colorado here, we barely even had a curve, let alone people dying in the streets. So right now, that message has changed from flattening the curve to you need to protect everybody else. But ultimately, we know the mask is not going to be that magic answer. Jan. Fauci and Birx both said that the mask wouldn't work. And this was, I always wondered this about Fauci. The guy's been in his position for 40 years. Do you think over the last 40 years they ever talked about, hey, if there's an outbreak, if there's a virus outbreak, should we wear a mask? Should we have everybody wear a mask? I mean, I'm pretty sure at some point they talked about that, right? Give me a thumbs up if you think somebody talked about that. So for them to say no, we don't need a mask, I'm sure that was based off of some information, some research they'd done, conversations they had, and then they shifted it. It's like, even though the coronavirus, this COVID, is smaller than the regular influenza. So I always thought that was kind of odd there. There's some thumbs up coming in. Michelle, the 6 foot, not really there. The CDC put it back up about a week ago. Oh, it did go back up. Awesome. Ariel, if you have that link, go ahead and put that up there. So we were talking about the CDC having this link of this post showing that on September 18th, that aerosol transmission is thought to be the main way that this virus is transmitted. So we know that wearing a mask, because aerosol goes through the mask, it's not going to be as effective as they're saying. Tanya, nope, no way. So probably not going to be doing it for the next 2 years. Yes, so Ariel, you're talking about the shield. So I was saying the shield, yes, for people that are working and they either have to wear a mask or a shield, I would absolutely recommend you wear a shield instead of the mask. We were not designed to mask. If you look at hospitals and things like that, surgery centers, all those places where they're wearing masks, they're specifically designed for that. They have extra oxygen coming in, all types of different things. We were not designed to wear a mask for 12-hour days all the time. So if you can wear a shield, absolutely 100% wear that shield. Just know that it will not protect you unless somebody sneezes in your face. So it's silly, but if you can get by with a shield instead of a mask, like at Costco, about half the people now are wearing shields, and they're very smart to do that, but it's going to do nothing to protect them from a virus. Yeah, Ariel, it's messing with our mental health, destroying our economy. People need to learn their build immunity. Absolutely. We've got to build up that immune system. We've got to get stronger. This is what we talk about all the time. We say, hey, strength over safe. And it's really what it comes down to is you've got to be as strong as possible. So mental health, I've had teachers that I work on, and they still give their kids hugs and stuff, even though they're supposed to be distancing and all that. But they're like, holy cow, are you serious that you're going to tell this kid, don't touch me? But I mean, they're little kindergartners. They've got to be touching people. Brenda, good to see you kayaking. Cool. Have fun kayaking out there. Bonnie, not going to go 2 more years with it. Jerry, maybe the governor of South Dakota knows more than the rest of them. Jerry, he's from South Dakota. Good to see you out there, buddy. She's a pretty brave lady up there in South Dakota. Anything else? Oh, there we go. Thank you, Ariel, for putting that up. And that was the one saying it can travel more than 6 feet. Yeah, so that's the other thing the CDC said, was that we can travel further than 6 feet. Really not going to be that effective to say, hey, I'm at Home Depot, you're 6 feet in front of me, and what's that going to do? Well, there's viruses in the air, there's viruses all over the place, so it's really not going to be effective at protecting. Lisa, I don't know when our governor is going to start paying attention. Mesa County, and I think 6 total counties yesterday in Colorado, they just got rid of their mask mandate. So great news out there as well. Althea, good to see you as well. You betcha. Share this with as many people as you can. This information needs to get out there. People need to know what is coming down the pike and that they're expecting this to be the new normal. And if it's not in line with your philosophy, your beliefs, whatever, we need to make our voices known to the government, to those in power, and we've got to make sure that that people know we're not going to do this for another 2 years. And that we're going to focus on getting our bodies healthy and get your vitamin D level where it needs to be, all those good things. So I went on quite a bit today. I was on a little bit of a rant there, but thanks for everybody for sticking with me. Love having everybody on board. Be strong out there. Keep your body as fit mentally, emotionally, physically, everything you possibly can, because that is going to be the key to you preventing this or the next infection or the next infection or the next infection. So be strong. Love you guys, and we'll talk soon. Take care. Bye-bye.